the matching data table 2 has in with the table 1, it will bring that as well, and so as vice versa. So even if we focus in this one, first for a definition, remember all this, like this is called inner join, these two called outer join, and this is called full join. So okay, so let's move forward with the inner join first. And
Saad, I have a question before
yeah,
you move forward with the example. When you say matching data,
right.
what that it will fetch just the matching data, what does it mean that it
Okay,
will
so,
just
so
fetch the
remember,
matching
as I
data?
said just now, let's go into the next one so you'll have a better idea. So this on, right? This on means this on define what is the meaning of matching data. So on that on, you mentioned this column name here, right? The customer ID on table 1 based on the customer ID on the table 2. So it look for the matching customer IDs between these two tables. So whatever you put in on, basically that part is defined what matching area or what matching IDs or what matching names it looking for. And now when we'll do the example, I'll show you what I mean over here. So once I'm just using one screen today. So if you see this example over here, so it's saying fetch this data from order table, right? From this table, orders table, why is not okay? Orders table, inner join customer table. But what is common data? Again, your question. If you see on, right, we see orders dot customer ID is equals to customer dot customer ID. So basically all this thing happen based on this customer ID. It basically looking for that customer ID which have with both table have the common customer IDs between these two tables and fetch all the data based on these customer IDs. So this column, whatever you mention in on, is is basically defined what IDs you're looking to map this data.
Right, right. No, I understood that part, but so basically in this statement, you're saying that we need data from orders, but the matching data that we are trying to achieve is from customers,
Right.
which means inner join customers. So the one report or one table is orders, one table is customers.
Right.
And but it's the main data, the primary data is from orders or customers or from both.
Now you have to read it from the over here, right? So it goes like, if you read it from here, right, so it says table A. If you see the examples before as well, it says table A and table B, right? So in the from, we have the main table, which is the table A over here, right? So
Okay.
that become the main table, table A. And when you do, so this is inner join, it doesn't matter, but in the left outer join, what you're asking does matter, right? Because in the inner join, it's just fetching the common data, right?
Correct.
Based on the customer ID available in both the tables. But in the left outer join, it fetch all the data from the orders table, and then it do left join customer into the customer table. So what it will do, it will fetch all the data from the customer tables and bring the common data from the no, I'm sorry. So it will bring all the data from the orders table, and then it will do left join on the customers, right? Based on the customer ID. So we will get all the data from the orders table and the common data from the customers table based on the customer ID.
But I think it's only going to show you order ID and customer name. It's not going to show the rest of the data from orders.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not talking about certainly about this only select statement. I'm talking in a general scenario, right?
Okay.
When you're running this, because we were just now focusing on inner join in from orders and in customer table. So I was talking like select all statement,
Okay.
not specific to these two columns. But for your question, like what you were asking, right, which will be the main table and which will be the only the joining table, right? So if you read the statement over here, whatever table come first, like this one, order will be the main table when we're doing a left outer join. And then after that, when doing based on the customer, so the orders table will have all the data, and the customer tables will just get the matching data based on the customer ID. So, you know, the customer ID column is available in both the tables, right? So it do the matching based on this column, right? And there can be more than one column matching in one table. Right now, we just using on, but if
Right.
they are more matching, we can put and then that's how we gonna define. But I don't want to complicate, because at least we can understand this on first, and then we'll go into further tougher conditions.
Okay.
So if you see this one, it says select orders.order ID. So we all know this order is more like a table area. So I say start practicing using the area, right? So it will help you to understand how we can define the table area as well, right? So if you see this one, right, what we can do like this, right? So right now, I don't know what's the error is showing right now. ORD customer.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the area. All right, so now what this do, like, let's understand the inner join quickly first. So as we discuss and understand, it will fetch the matching data, most common data in between these two tables. And how we're looking for to get that matching data is based on this on condition. In this on condition, basically we have a customer ID, which is in orders table, and also available that customer ID in the customer table, right? So it will basically, Oracle will run all the process in the back end, right? Pull the and it will do matching by itself based on the condition over here we have on the on condition. So basically in the inner join, it will, you know, it will look for customer ID in both the tables, right? And once it find the match, it will bring data like it's matching. So this customer William, like this, whatever customer ID he have it, let me show you, so you will have a better idea on the customer ID as well. Let me show you. So the customer ID, comma. So you see, I'm right now, so this is from the, basically I'll be doing all this because on the other side I'll have a job meeting running as well, and I'm just on mute over there and have headphone on one of my ears, so I'll be making those mistakes. All right, so if I think there's still a issue. Where is the other ID, comma customers, and why is not showing the customer ID? I don't know. It's not fetching this customer ID, customer ID, order.customer. So what it's supposed to do, I don't know why it's not working, but it's supposed to bring the customer ID right now as this from both the tables, right? And we can verify the data saying that's 90. There's another 90 should be coming in front of this one. And then in front of 81, there's another 81 should be coming. And this one should be coming up from, or maybe it's because the common name, it might be having issue. All right, so that was the reason, because of the common column over here. So now I hope you guys will see it and understand. So see, when we're doing an inner join, right? If you see this one, Oracle on the backend running on the backend on the process, and see it comparing data. So you see the customer ID, this customer ID from customer table, and this customer ID from the order table. And now if you see, it's matching it, right? And that's why it's bringing whatever column we wanted to fetch in the select statement. So does this point clear? If not, then I can repeat again, that's okay, but it's very important to understand over here.
Oh, this one is okay.
Yes.
Now it is also.
And whatever the joining condition, basically what I keep saying about matching data, basically that's done based on this on condition and on this customer ID. So this customer ID basically based on this. So this is the customer ID, and that's how I do the inner join. So is everybody okay? Then I can move to the other join, but it's important to understand how the inner join is working. And this is the syntax you need to follow. And then when there is another inner join, right? Inner join on, then we after left outer left an inner join, we can have left join as well to any like product table, right? So and then we can have on condition over here like that. So now in that condition, this table, right, this table will become the main table, right? And we will have all data from this customer table and the matching data from the product table, then based on the condition. Right now I'm not going to go into it because I don't know what are the common columns, but
Yes,
that's
sir,
how it works.
to be clear, now the next one that you do left join, or you can do another inner join, right?
Yeah, inner join, left join, it's always depend on condition. Like we want a common data from that table, or we want the all data from the previous joins and just the common data from the next table. So
Okay.
that depend on the requirement when we fetching data.
So the next join would be whatever join it is, inner, left, or right. It will be from these three columns and that are showing right now.
No. The next join, you're talking about the join, or you're talking about the select statement?
No, another inner join if you want to run there. Then
Yeah,
what
if
is
you
going-
run in another inner join, right, then that will be a different table, right? Let's say that will be now a product table, right? Product table. If you're doing an inner join, right, that means it should be common in this one, it should be common in this one, and it should be common in this one, because you're doing an inner join. So you continue doing the inner join in it. So that means that data has to be common among all three tables, right? But when you do the left join, then the result of these two tables become common, like all the data should come from these two tables, but only the matching data will come from this table, because these two combination of these two tables become a common data, and this will become so that's how it works. Like every next left outer join or right outer join become what we can understand is become like a table 2, and all previous one become table 1.
Okay, but inner join is just basically continuation of the
Continuation of all the common data.
Okay.
If we keep using the inner join here, that means we wanted to make sure all data, like they can be multiple inner joins, but then all data has to be matching. All data has to be matching all the joining condition, and it has to be common among all the tables. Otherwise, it will bring 0 result.
And in joining statement doesn't have to be same number of columns. Like in other statements, we need to have matching column numbers. In inner join, it doesn't matter if one table could be 3 columns and one table could be 6 columns.
So we don't care about the column. We only care about the common column. That's it.
Yes.
One table can have only one column, other can have 50 columns, right? But that common column need to be there in between both the tables. That's what join basically care about.
Okay.
Yes. So anybody have any question about join? So please come up and ask, especially the inner join. I'll go with the left join as well, but if anybody has any question, that's okay. Or you can message me or call me later on as well. All right, so that's how the inner join work. Do get familiar with, please, with the table area as well, right? It's even if you're writing a simple select statement, start using it, right? Like even if you're writing a select all from customers, just do this, right? Just for your practice purpose, just start select all from customers. Okay, right? So start using the cus, and then if you wanted to see how it works, then do like the you did cus dot the right, and that will become the table area, right? Dot the column name, right? And if you wanted to practice for the column area, then do as and you do CNAME, then that will become the column area. So this you define first the table area over here, then you use it over here, and then you define the column area as well. So that's how, even for the single table, you can practice it. So that will become a routine for you, that you keep using the table area, and you know how to use the table area, and then you can use a column area as well. So if you practice like this, then it will become easy for you. So let's look into the left join. So as we see the left join, right? So normally left join, as we see the example over here, whatever in the table 1, it will bring all data, and it will bring only the matching data from table 2. Again, what is the matching data? This on condition and the column name inside the on condition define what is the matching criteria you're looking for. Again, we can go down to the example over here to see how the left join work, and again we'll try to break it down. So here again, customers, just for our practice, we'll do curs, and then for the orders we gonna do order, right? And then if you see, I can use this. All right, so it's doing selecting the customer name from the customer table, order ID from the order table, from customers. Now what you were thinking, okay, what is the main table, right? So whatever come first become the main table, right? And that become a table A. As for the example over here, that become a table 1, right? This one, right? So that become the table 1, right? So it will fetch all data from this table. Now in this case, it will fetch all the customer names, because we just fetching the customer name from the customer table. Then we do the left join. What's saying, okay, do a left join on the order table, right? On again, what decided, fetch data from main table and the common table. What data need to fetch, that's decided by the on. So on the on, fetch the customer ID from the customer table is equals to, that's the always the syntax, ORD, the short for the orders, and then the customer ID. So it will fetch all the customer name from the customer table, and only the matching customer ID, which matching with the customer table, available in the orders table. And then later on we can do order by, we saying order by customer names are gonna come in the ascending order. So if you see, so why you see this null this time, because this customer details is not available in the order tables, right? But you using left join, you saying bring, I don't care, bring all data from customer tables, and just bring the common data from the order tables. And you see, you fetching the order ID from the order table. That's why it bring all data from customer tables, no matter it's been there in the order table or not. And then when there is no data in this table, it will say null, because that customer ID is not available in this. And how we can confirm this thing, I'll show you over here. I'll show you over here what I'm trying to see with the left auto join. So let's print the customer ID as well. I'm not interested. See, it's saying the customer ID on this is null, right? But we interested in the, but if you see the in the customer table, it bring the, so what we understand, there is a customer ID 1, right? Which is available in the customer table, but that's not available in the orders table, right? But this time we're doing a left outer join. So left outer join don't care about this table, right? It will fetch all data from the customer table and only the matching data from the orders table. And in this scenario, this is the matching data, because let's put both over here, right? Order dot customer CUSD customer ID as customer ID, comma.
Customer.
Yeah,
T is missing. T is missing on the next. Yeah.
Yeah. So now if you see, this is the customer ID from customer table, this is the customer ID from the order table, right? Now if you see, this one is not available in this order table, right? But still, because we're using the left join, it fetch all the data from the customer table. So you see record for the customer name over here, but it will bring null because the customer ID is not available. But if you scroll down, you see the common ID, so it's fetching data for everything. So that's what I was trying to. So over here as well, right? This is the 6 ID, which is available in customer ID, but this is not available over here now, right? So that's how it's doing it. So that's how the left outer join work. It will fetch all data from the customer table, right? And the left outer join, it did it on the order table. So any confusion on this left outer join? All right, so that's how the left outer join work, right? And another important topic which we had question and I didn't see anybody able to do or write mainly is the group by. So what we need to understand, whatever we put in the group by, right, that basically group that column, right, when we get the result. So if you see over here, we're saying the group by statement grows the same value. I think it's easy to, if I go with the example, but we need to understand when we have a column, right, when we use this function. So you need to remember the greater than, less than, is equals to the one we did, greater than, is equal. Those are different, but the count, min, max, average, basically these are aggregate functions, right? The right. So whenever we use the aggregate function and there is another column after comma, which is not using the aggregate function, for that we always have to use a group by. So if you see in this example, right, we're doing a count on the customer ID, right? But after comma, there is another column county. So if we run this one, at least in Oracle, it will never work, but I don't know if this one work here, right? So if you see, it's working here, but in Oracle, it will not work if you don't put a group by. So it has to be group by based on the country. So otherwise it will not work. And so in the Oracle. So what we do first, we understand if there is any column right next to the aggregate function, which is not, which is not, we don't have like aggregate function. So you can have like a count on this one. If you have like a min on this one, right, if you're using another aggregate function on that column, then you don't need an aggregate function, then you don't need a group by. But if this is a standalone, column, like we don't use the aggregate function over here, then we have to group it by the group by syntax like this one. So any select statement which have multiple columns and some of them have the aggregate and some of don't. So let's say even if there can be another, right, there can be more than one column that can come in the group by statement. So let's do it that way. One second, I'll show you an example. All right, so there another column as well. Let's say customer contact name as well, right? So if we putting a standalone column like this as well, so we have to use this over here in the group by as well. So what I'm keep saying is like any column which is outside this aggregate function, right? The only we see over here is this one under the aggregate function, but all other column after comma, which are without aggregate function, then need to go with the group by. The order doesn't matter, but has to go. But usually we always put it everything in the same order. So that's how the group by work. And so many time when we have to find the duplicate values or we have to find the values based on the group, at that time we use a group by. So over here, if you see select all from customers, right? And the example we had it earlier, we saying okay, okay, select all rooms, select all from Okay, this select.
Semicolon.
No, I think it's a spelling mistakes and select. All right, so then we wanted to find out how many customers we have based on the countries, right? So if we do like a count, right, and then we say, okay, do on the basically customer ID, right? And then we wanted to find like how many customers we have in each country, right? So we know that we wanted to do group by based on the country. So then what we can do now, we again go back to the basic what I was saying. There is an aggregate function and we using here for the customer ID, but this is a standalone kind of a column, right? It's not used by aggregate function. We're not using min max or anything. So first thing right away came in our mind, right? Okay, that need to go in a group by, right? So what we can do, like this is the syntax group by, and we're gonna say country. So now what the result could be, group all the countries and bring us a count of the customer IDs, right, inside that country. So if we run it, it says null has one, like where is no country name. And if you say Argentina has 3 here, and in the end, if you see like USA has 13. So that's why we use group by, basically to group the result and get the aggregate function as well, right? We can use like sum, or we can use min, max. So it depends basically what kind of a aggregate function we using it. It depend on the requirement. So we don't worry about like what we should use at that time. That will come later on with the experience. But what we need to understand is why we need to use the group by. So what it do, it group based on this syntax over here we mentioning in the group by, like this column, it will group it based on the country. And what we looking for, basically count of all the customer IDs. And normally we don't return result like this, so we get the like we usually give it like a column alia and return it, so it look like, more presentable. So that's how basically we return the results. And it is important to understand the group by. So any question on that group by?
So I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
After this aggregate function, which is count,
No, I'm not getting it.
as we separately, then it's okay. Continue with the class.
Yeah, your voice not coming clear, sorry. So yeah, I'll call you, so hopefully we can go over with this, whatever question you have. Anybody else had any questions, so I can
Yes,
ask?
if we are doing it from two different tables, do we use the join statement along with it, or we can?
Yeah, so all things come up together as well. They can be multiple joins as well. And if we using in the select statement any aggregate function, so the rest of the column will come as a group by. So yes, we do use all those mixture we learning, like all of these fields we learn as of now, all can come even in a single statement as well. Right over here, if you see this example, I'll show you like a one inner join example. So this. So the customer table has that. So this one will, right, like we see that, and then we're gonna put like an account, and we'll put on the CUS dot customer ID, I think it was, right? That was kind of a, so what we have to do over here, we have to use a group by, group by. And then we know this column went into this one, right? So then we have to use both of this in the group by, like this. So it worked like this. So I don't know why, maybe the count should go first and then, but it worked like this. So we do all the time like the joins and everything, right? I can't read the error it's throwing right now. Could not prepare statement, no such column. Okay, it's talking about the spelling mistakes again here as a customer ID. So customer ID.
सबसे ऊपर यहाँ S level
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. And then whatever the it's used, we do that customer name, right? And so you see that we did do a group by based on here. So yes, we can use it. So does it answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, and then there can be so many other things, not this. We can be using this thing, we can be using and, or, where, multiple things we'll be using in one statement. And then we have a having clause, which I think most of the people having difficulty with. So here, if you see the having clause, right, what having clause do? So basically having clause is basically alternate to the where clause, right? And why we have to use the having clause? So whenever we using an aggregate function in the search condition, we cannot put that condition in the where clause. And for that purpose, we have to use a having clause. And what does it mean? We'll go with the example over here, right? So when we doing like this one, right? So over here, you see, let's ignore this one for now. If we were saying like, right, we saying where customer ID is greater than 5, right? This will work, right? But if we have to put something like this, right? So this one don't have, we're not using the aggregate function here, right? And the column outside this count, we put it in the group by. So this statement work. So let's take an example of this one, right? So now if you see in this search condition, where is basically a search condition. Now we you using aggregate function, right? You're saying count customer ID greater than 5. You're not using a simple customer ID is greater than 5. This time you're saying count. So that means you're using an aggregate function. On that, basically this where don't work, right? For that, we have to use the having condition. So it's basically serving the same purpose, right? It's serving the same purpose, but instead of where, we have to use the having in that condition. We have to use the having, because where we cannot do a search based on the aggregate function in the where. And so we have to use on. And also what matter is the syntax where that things need to come. If select come first, then the from comes second for the table. Then if there is a where condition, we use it next, where and blah blah, and then group by come, then having come, and then order by come. So that is basically the syntax you always have to follow. First select, then from table name. If there are the joinings, we use the inner join, outer join, left join, multiple joins, we're going to use it after here. Then if we have any group by, we're going to use it. Or if we have any where condition, we're going to use it after from and joins, right? Then if there is any group by, we have to use it group by. Then if any having, we have to use it here. And the order by is always come in the end. So that's how basically the syntax work. So, and we have to follow. If we put the having over here before the group by, right? At least in Oracle, I don't know about this one, but that will fail because that has to run in the right order, right? If there is where, yes, where will go before, but if it is like a having, then it has to go over here. So that is the order we need to follow. I can come back with a follow-up question. We can have a quick namaz break. So it's, I think 7:40, we can come back at 7:50. And then if any question on the having, then definitely I can answer those. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
directly onto the task, it will be difficult now on to do that. So you have to really practice and understand all of these first and then go to the task. So it might become more understandable. And if it is still difficult, that's okay. Give me a message, call, or send me an email, and I'll help you with that. Any question on the joins, group, or having? And Mohit was asking about the format, right? So that should be the format. Here we have another example. When he's doing a select, the select we know always come first, then from, right? If we joining more table, then the inner join and on come in between here. If we're doing a where clause, then after all inner joins and all that, where come, right? After that, group by come. After that, having come. And then last is always the order by, as I keep saying again and again. But it depends. If you're not using the order by, that means definitely, and using having, then having would be the last one, right? So it's always depend how it comes. So, and most of the time having come with a group by. I haven't seen any example where having come standalone, right? It has to usually come up with a group by. So group by and having always come together. You will see many times that you're using group by alone, but you might not see example where you're using having but not using a group by. So you can see having and group by come together, and you might also see only standalone group by can come and you're not using a having. So it depends on the requirement, but that's how it come back. And then the last one I was saying that I see that most of us is struggling is with the union as well. So what we understand, when we have to merge two select statement and return one result, for that we use a union operator. Say union is to combine the result set of two select statement, two or more than two, of course. We can have another union here, and the data from that can another union and can have it. The select statement within the union must have the same number of column. We discussed that the number of column, if it is a 3 column, then this should have 3 column as well. The column must have the same data type. Means like if we're using let's say something like a phone number, right? If the phone number over here is text type, then the phone number over here has to be a text type. In this table, if the phone number is a text type, but in this table, if a phone number is a number data type, then the union will not work. So these data types have to match. So that's what it's saying. And the select column in every select statement must also be in the same order. It worked, we see previously, but as a best practice, those column names should be in order. Let the name coming first, then ID coming second, then the number coming third. Then on the second union as well, use the same order. So that's what it's trying to say. And there is like we use union and union all. So what is the difference we learned previously between union and union all? That if there is a 10 column, if there is a 10 record in table 1 and 10 record in the table B, and those all record match, then the union will only bring 10 results, right? But in the union all, if this table has 10 record and this one has a 10 record, and the matching based on the union, right? Whatever the condition you put in the union, this will bring 20 result. So union all bring even all duplicate values as well. So that is the difference between union and union all, that union only bring the unique record and union all even bring the duplicate record as well. So here we have the examples over here. So how this work, right? So we can have a statement like this one, select all from right. So where it look pretty simple over here and it's working, right? But we can have like a where condition, different where condition. We can say over here where customer ID is greater than 5, right? So when it read this one, with this select statement, this select statement will building all the city name with the customer ID greater than 5 from the customer table. But over here, you asking to select the city from the suppliers, right? So when you run it, so I don't know what to bring the same result or the less result. So you see, previously it was 95 result, right? And now when you put this condition, this bring 94 result. The reason, because we pulling everything which have a customer ID above 10, right? If I say customer ID above 0, because there'll be a customer ID with a customer ID 1, right? So you see, it's this time it bring all 95 result, because we not eliminating any result from the customer table. So that's how union work. Basically, it bring, and I think if we do union all, they might, I don't know if there are duplications. You see, it bring 121 result. Even there was duplication, so it bring all the data in the union all. But most of the time we do use union instead of union all as an example. So if you see over here, it bring 95 result. But this, what might be thinking, right? Why are we doing it? So there are different ways people can use inner join as well, or different joins as well. People can use a subquery as well. And sometimes people can use the union as well. So there are multiple ways to get the same result, but it depends. And sometimes because of the performance, right? When we have a requirement, we do it multiple way. We did it with the join, we did it with the subquery, and we did it with the union. And when we run the query, when we see whatever is bringing the fastest result, we use that one as our end script, right? So over here, like, but we need to understand first how the union work, right? Then we can write a query based on the union or subquery or the joins as well. So that's why understanding the union is important as well. And for the interview purpose, of course, you have to go with the theory as well. What is union and what is union? Also, you have to understand that, okay, union bring the distinct values, union all bring the duplicate values as well. But anyone has any question with that union? And in the task I have given the example for group having and union and join, and I haven't seen whatever come up yet have all the right answers, and most of them except Ahad, because he is more exception because he's working as a developer as well, but he's new as well. But I accept him. I think everybody having difficulty understanding all of these, what I try to explain it today. So, and I do have one question in which we can use union as well, and most of them with joins and group by. So hopefully after today's class, if you try to practice a little bit more and try to attempt, first focus on understanding the question. That is the key. What is asked in the question? If you try to understand question, break it down into different parts, the same question, then the writing script will become easier for you. But of course, for that you have to understand the concepts as well. So
I have one question in this query.
right.
So the greater than value, can we go with the second query as well? Like we can skip that greater than in the first query, and we can split up in
So
the
it depends on the requirement. If you have to use the customer ID and they're asking for fetch data based on the customer ID greater than 0, this where condition can go into the second one, third one, fourth one, any one as well. But it depends where you wanted to use, right? If the requirement is you're looking for the customer ID greater than 5, and from the suppliers table you fetching some other data, so you can use it, right? So let's see over here, and we can have where condition in both of them as well.
Okay.
So we here we can have like a where supplier ID SUPPLI, supplier ID is less than 100, right? So they can be multiple condition using in multiple places, but it also depends, right? What is the requirement, right?
Okay.
So, and they can be and after this as well. They can be a group by as well. They can be having as well. They can be, but the order by, right? Order by always goes in the end. Even in the union statement, we don't do the order by, like to your question, right? You can put the where here, right? But you can't put the order here. The order by is always go in the last statement and as a last line as well. But where and all others things can go inside the both queries. That's okay. Only the order by goes into the last one.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other question? If not, then please try to practice like 30 minutes or so whenever you get a time after the class and before the next class, right? Because you'll have a fresh mind and maybe some, some odd things already in your mind and the concepts and everything. If you practice and then you try to do the task, or if I have replied you already, the task you submitted on some wrong ones, and try one more time and take the entire week as well if you want, but try to finish it by this week. So and then tomorrow, hopefully, I'll cover the new topics. I think there's a case, and then the null, and then we'll go on to create table and all that, and we'll use the actual SQL developer to do that. So that's it. If no more question, then I think we're good for today's class. Inshallah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.
All right.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.